This is the order the DCEU movies should have been released. What is up, guys? My name is TC and welcome back to Geek Theory. Today's video is going to be about my opinions on how the DCEU movies should have been released. Now, we all know the order that the DCEU is releasing them right now. We had Man of Steel right into Batman v Superman, then we had Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and then we're gonna get the Justice League. This was a terrible mistake, and I know exactly why the DCEU was trying to have the Justice League as their fourth film in the universe, and it's because they're trying to play catch-up. All of these films seem so reactionary to the MCU and the universe that Marvel is building. Yes, DC, we know you were behind, but that doesn't mean that you just have to keep releasing all these movies and just fast-tracking all the origins just because you feel like you need to play catch-up. A lot of you are gonna say, why are you just gonna try to copy what Marvel did? Because what Marvel did is working. But anyway, here is my order on how the DC Extended Universe movies should have been released. They got this part right. Man of Steel, the first superhero ever. They were right to go with Man of Steel and Superman as their first solo movie. But was it executed properly? I don't think so. A lot of people loved the take on the current Man of Steel, but I myself felt like I couldn't connect with the character of Superman and Clark Kent because in the movie itself, he didn't know who he was. It was a movie of self-exploration. And if he doesn't know who the freak character he is, then how am I supposed to connect to him? But hey, TC, it was more real. It was more based in realism. They wanted to have a lot more people relate to the character of Superman. I don't care. I don't want my Superman to be conflicted at all. My Superman is supposed to know right and wrong, truth, justice, and the American way. But I don't even blame Superman himself. His father was telling him that maybe he should kill a bunch of kids, or maybe he should let them die. But DC, at least you guys got the order right. I would have went with Superman, Man of Steel as the first movie in the DC Extended Universe. Coming right up after Superman, you go with the second most popular character in this DC Comics in general, Batman. And you title this one Batman: The Dark Knight. This was the movie that you were supposed to give us a great solo Batman film. Now, does this mean you have to retell the origins of Batman? Absolutely not. You could have just gave us a Batman story to where it felt like Batman and he didn't break his, his one rule, his moral code. He didn't kill anybody. You could have had this film dripping with Gotham and the crazy characters and villains that, take up Arkham Asylum and take up Belle Reve and just everything about Batman. This also would have been a great spot to introduce the Joker, even if it was just teases of the Joker. But I seriously think that you needed to start off with a solo Superman film and then a solo Batman film. The next installment that they should have gave us was Batman, Superman, World's Finest. The DCEU tried to have Batman and Superman fight each other in the second movie of your universe. Are you kidding me? After we have gotten to know Clark Kent, Superman, and the Bruce Wayne, Batman in this universe, then comes World's Finest, where they actually acknowledge each other's presence and they meet and they go toe-to-toe in terms of their philosophies, their ideologies, and at the end, end up teaming up and become the world's finest. I don't think you should have had these two fight each other in the second movie of your universe. This is the movie where you could have had so much fun with, and I'm going to go back to the animated film, the three-part World's Finest, and they actually came out. It's called the Batman Superman movie. Now, it was so beautiful in this movie how they had Bruce Wayne find out who Clark Kent is by putting a tracker on his cape. And then you see Superman fly back to his house and Batman's just out there miles away, sitting on a rooftop and he's waving at him like, hello, I know who you are. Superman crushes the little tracker in his hands and he says, touche. It's just, this movie is done very well, and if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you go watch it. Right off of the heels of World's Finest, you come out with Wonder Woman what? Wonder Woman's movie, it's time, because you have to give the Trinity their own solo movies before you can team them up in the Justice League. This was perfect to showcase Diana Prince and the origin. I know that they're gonna give us, you know, the whole origin in this movie that's coming up in 2017, but it just feels out of place now that we've had Man of Steel in present day, Batman v Superman in, you know, a direct sequel to that, and now we're going back to the past for her origin. It doesn't make sense to me. But this would have been a perfect movie to get the audiences familiar again with Wonder Woman, you know, just grow to love and invest their time in this character, in Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. You could have told a very beautiful story of, you know, her and her confliction of staying on Themyscira. And at the end, she's like, all right, I gotta get out of here. I want to go help the world of man. There are so many things out there that I could be helping with instead of staying on this island. And towards the end of the movie, you have her decide to make that leap. Boom, she ends up on Earth, and who does she meet? Batman and Superman in some type of dilemma. And that's when you bring in that huge threat. And they tried to do this with Doomsday, where it gave them a reason, it gave Wonder Woman a reason to come out of the shadows and, you know, show herself. But yeah, they could have done this again, you know, at the end of Wonder Woman, where she finally comes to Earth and the world of man, that there has to be a reason that these three meet, and we see the Trinity for the first time. Now that we have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the main three, the Trinity, and we've invested time into their characters and grown to know them as people, now it's time for the Justice League. Justice League, this is supposed to be your ensemble movie. After we've had time and character development in all three of the solo movies, plus we have that World's Finest movie where we find out more about Batman and Superman's relationship, now we have the team come together. This is where you bring in a Hal Jordan or a John Stewart Green Lantern. This is where you bring in a Barry Allen or a Wally West Flash, and this is where you bring in your Cyborg or Aquaman, whatever direction you wanted to go. Because we would be so invested and, you know, have so much emotion towards Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, seeing them interact with these new characters and these unique characters would be awesome. As you notice, I've totally skipped Suicide Squad. I think that movie could have came a lot later on in the series. And let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which I think would have been a perfect branch off right after Justice League. A Flash Green Lantern buddy movie. Now I say this because I don't think the Flash has, you know, enough clout to have his own solo movie, which they are giving us his solo movie. Now you've seen the Flash's rogues gallery. We have people like Captain Cold, Boomerang, Zoom, Reverse Flash. There is a lot for a movie there, but I think that introducing, you know, this great dynamic that Hal Jordan and Barry Allen have would be excellent to have in this Green Lantern Flash buddy movie, kind of like a buddy cop movie. Green Lantern being the cop, because in essence he's an Emerald Guardian. He works Sector 2814, and to not scare the crap out of people in their whole taking Green Lantern, you know, and taking him to space and this whole universe that they tried to do in 2011. In the 2011 film, they tried to give us a movie where he was half on, you know, on Earth and half in space, and it took a lot of people out of the movie to transition from the space scenes and the ground Earth scenes. This solves all your problems. You give flashbacks of the Green Lantern or Hal Jordan origin story, you give a short flashback of Flash's story, and you give us the Green Lantern, the Earth-based Green Lantern, so that when he goes to space in his solo movie, it'll make sense. But anyway, if you guys know Barry Allen and Hal Jordan, they are awesome together, and their dynamic is one of a kind. Why not have them as like this team up buddy movie? And I don't know, I just think it would be awesome. And let's go ahead and move on to our next one. This is where the villains come in. Now, it could either be a Suicide Squad movie. I mean, it was a cool concept and a cool idea, or you could just had the Legion of Doom. It could be any type of villain movie, but I think this would have been the perfect placement for it, because now you have a couple of these villains already introduced. We already know the Joker. This could have been a movie where you could have introduced Harley Quinn, You could have gave us more of their relationship and, you know, just a better story for a Suicide Squad movie or a villain team-up movie in terms of the Legion of Doom or something like that. But I think this could have been the perfect place for it. After this villain movie, DC, the world is your oyster. You could have went with anything. You could have went with sequels like Man of Steel 2, Dark Knight 2, Amazonian Princess 2, Justice League 2. It wouldn't have mattered because people would have already been invested in your characters and cared what happened to them. Now this would be the placement for like a solo Aquaman movie, and just think of what they could do with Atlantis and the epic. And so much of the world is covered with ocean that just telling a great story, you know, showing Atlantis and being like a Lord of the Rings type epic would just be really awesome. Or if you want to take us to space, because we've already seen and met Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart, then it would make sense and give us Blackest Night. Show us more colors of the Lantern spectrum. I mean, give us Atrocitus. Give us Saint Walker. I mean, it would be awesome to expand after that. But anyway, I'm gonna end this video here. I wanna know what you guys thought of the order, and I wanna know if you guys have a better order that you think that the DCEU could have been released. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and as always, keep theorizing, geeks.
Hadouken!